like, bro, yeah, she got a kid. Look at his back. Oh my god.
Hey, what's up? Welcome back to another reaction. This is Thomas Sowell. Joe Biden is a phony. Yeah, you know, well, first off, it's been a long time since we reacted to Thomas Sowell, so just that. Definitely enjoy his videos, his insight. Very smart dude. Very happy that I came across his videos when I did. You know what I mean? But yeah, definitely going to be interesting to see what his thoughts are on Joe Biden. I think it's pretty clear to say that Joe just isn't fit anymore. Maybe a few years ago, you know what I mean? When he was still on top of his A game, he had the sunglasses on, he was a cool Joe, you know, the VP of Obama and stuff. You know, he's still able to keep a coherent sentence and, you know, not fall downstairs and, you know, get lost in the crowd and shake hands with nobody. You know what I mean? He's just like, he's an old guy and he just shouldn't be in office. You know what I mean? Just, I don't know. But people voted for him, you know? They tried their hardest to get every black celebrity, every prominent celebrity there was to just go full throttle for this guy. And if you weren't Joe Biden, but they censor you and all that type of stuff. I remember before the election, I was getting hundreds of texts asking me if I was voting for Joe Biden. Hey, this is BLM in Texas. Are you voting for Joe? It's like, no, I'm not. Like, why you, like, how you even get my number? I don't know. Yeah. Thomas Sowell, Joe Biden is a phony. We're going to hop right into it. Check out the 412 show. Check out LB Gaming. Those are our other channels. Go check out the playlist on our channel. In case you want to check, make sure I haven't reacted to videos you already want us to see. You know what I mean? But yeah, road to 10K, we'll hop right in.
I had you on right before the election. I asked you what you thought Trump versus Hillary, and you said, well, Hillary is a known disaster. Trump is a risk. You'll take the risk. How do you feel about Trump versus Biden?
Not that different, except I think Biden is a bigger risk than Hillary was.
Because?
Because, first of all, he's not as smart. And I think that the way things are poised, if he comes in and the Democrats take the Senate, I don't see anything getting better in this generation. I also believe that even though the country has weathered many bad things in the past, there is a point of no return. And I suspect that that's where we're going to be taken to. When I see people talking seriously about abolishing the police force, my gosh, I mean, insanity. Yeah. And, of course, the biggest losers, if they do that, will be the low-income minority communities where you already have these rising rates of murder as the police withdraw. I mean, the police themselves, when they realize that there are politicians who will throw them to the wolves rather than confront loudmouths, they pull back. Mm-hmm. They're not going to go out there and risk their lives needlessly, knowing that the politicians will turn against them if there's any problem. But there's so much hanging on this that if that doesn't happen, we are going to be in big trouble. It means that the Democrats will be able to appoint the next whatever number of Supreme Court justices turn up during their term. They have so many counterproductive policies out there that I'm not sure the country can recover from.
When I marched in the civil rights movement, I did not march with a 12-point program. I marched with tens of thousands of others to change attitudes. And we changed attitudes.
When I was 17 years old, like many of you, I participated in sit-ins to desegregate the restaurants and movie houses of Wilmington, Delaware. I came out of the civil rights movement. I was one of those guys that sat in and marched and all that stuff.
Really?
During the 60s, I was, in fact, very concerned about the civil rights movement. I was not an activist. I worked at an all-black swimming pool in the east side of Wilmington, Delaware. I was involved in what they were thinking, what they were feeling. I was involved, but I was not out marching. I was not down in Selma.
Oh, so he just lied?
I was not anywhere else. I was a suburbanite kid
I mean,
who got a dose
do.
of exposure to what was happening to black Americans when I'm in my own city.
They'll wait like a
When I was a
decade.
teenager in Delaware, for real, I got involved in the civil rights movement. We have the 8th largest black population in America. Most people don't know that. And I'd go to 8 o'clock Mass, then I'd go to Reverend Herring's church where we'd meet in order to organize and figure where we were going to go, whether we were going to desegregate the Rialto movie theater or what we were going to do. I got my education for real in the black church. And that's not hyperbole, it's a fact. But I got my education, Reverend Doc, in the black church. Not a joke. Because when we used to get organized on Sundays to go out and desegregate movie theaters and things like that, we do it
Straight
in
up
the black
lying.
church.
The challenge for my generation, meaning mine, Milton Friedman's generation, was to establish an intellectually rigorous defense for human liberty. And then he pointed to me and said the challenge for your generation will be to keep your liberty.
Yes.
How's that project, my generation's project of holding on to liberty, coming along?
Not well.
Yeah, not well.
One of the reasons I'm glad to be as old as I am is that it means I may be spared seeing what's going to happen to this country, either internally or as a result of international complications.
Is there anything, as you look at the current prospect for this country and the Western world, that would cause you to dance in the streets?
If I thought that the voters had some sense of realism and that they were concerned with the larger questions rather than whose ex-wife said what. If the average citizen understood economics as well as it was understood by economists 200 years ago, most of the nonsense that's done in Washington would be impossible politically.
What can we do right now? I mean, so really this would be about just sort of electing more libertarian-minded politicians then? I mean, is that really the only way we can change things, do you think?
No, I think the main thing, people have to know what the facts are themselves. If everyone knew what all the facts were, I think you'd have an entirely different set of people elected. The utter gullibility of the public that follows such people, believes such people, disregards all hard facts about what such people are actually doing and what the actual consequences of what they're doing are, and just go with the flow of the rhetoric and the wonderful sounding things like, hope and change. Well, we don't hold elections to make people feel good. We hold elections to find people who have what it takes to have the life and death of millions of Americans and the future of the country in their hands. Elections are not held just for social participation. They're not held just to vent our emotions. They're held to elect people who will hold our lives and the lives of our loved ones in their hands, as well as the fate of the entire nation. And I think to go out as if we're voting for, for a homecoming queen or something is madness. I advised in that column that people who really haven't had a chance to study these things and know much about it, that their most patriotic act would be to stay home on election day rather than vote on the basis of their whims or their emotions, which is really playing Russian roulette with the history of the country. They had some sense of the loss of freedom, which is infinitely more important than any of the specific issues by themselves. That is, Obamacare really is a huge step towards the loss of freedom. I mean, and it happens in small ways that constantly.
Yeah. Yeah, the fact that bit about him, his generation, kind of like building an intellectual body around like the facts of liberty and your rights and things like that, and then kind of like now how we're like just willingly just giving them away now, like stuff like defunding the police, stuff like negating their ability to put down the law and stuff like that. Like if you look at places like LA, California, it's just like Mad Max out there. Like it's just complete madness. Like you can walk into a store and just steal things, and like they can't do anything about it. In fact, they call the cops, they can get arrested, and then they can get fired, which is insane. That's crazy. And the whole elections thing too. People voting with feelings and just going off the basis of the propaganda, the speed on the TVs and stuff like that. Obama is the perfect example. He was just black, and that's all it took. He was so eager just to get a black guy in the office. We didn't stop to think, what is it that he really wants to do? I mean, because he made a lot of promises, but when he got into office, he started moving different. started upping the war in the Middle East, started using drone attacks and stuff like that. He started neglecting the black community and started paying attention more toward like the LGBTQ communities and stuff like that. He didn't really even bother to even try to do much for black folks around that time. So I don't know. And I mean, I'm not surprised that Joe Biden was lying about being in the civil rights movement. That's just what politicians do. They're professional liars. That's it. So I'm not surprised at all he could stand up there and go back and forth. I mean, because it's all just like, you know what I mean? It's just fake. It's just all like a play. You know what I mean? But I don't know. Thomas Sowell, smart guy. Really like reacting to his videos. Hit that like button, subscribe, and share. We want to see you next time. Peace.